It's important, so you gotta speak out. Don't let your chance to be heard pass by. Spell out, let me hear you loud. Shout it out real loud. Everybody wake up. Shout it out real loud. Everybody wake up. Wake up. No time for sleeping on the issues. This is Neutral Voices. We gon' deal with the issues.
What do you really want, what they
Welcome to Neutral Voices. I'm Dr. V, and this is a great day at In Depth with Neutral Voices.
It's a beautiful day.
It's always a beautiful day.
Amazing weather, but not just outside, in here too.
Always sunny in here, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Welcome to Neutral Voices. We're having a good time here tonight. We're going to be talking about our family dynamics, but not just talking about it. We want to dig deep, and we want to understand the family dynamics.
Yes.
It's so much to it. Stick around. You're going to learn something. Okay. What's the number one issue at the family table? What do you think it is?
Communication.
So put it in a nutshell. Communication.
The lack of communication.
Lack of?
Yes.
Lack of substance, lack of quality, lack of quality time, trying to be replaced with quantity time, as we talked about before.
And so the elephant in the room might be the
phones.
AKA technology.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. And do you feel like it's going to get better or worse?
As far as technology, I want to say interfering.
I was just going to say interfere with the family.
I feel like it's going to continue to interfere.
Yes. Yeah, I think we're at that point in our society that, yes, it's going to continue to go in the way that which it is. You know, it started with computers and phones, and now it's the tablets and everything right now, and it's a continued downward spiral of what's going on with the family and communication.
So if I just take it to the dinner table, who dropped the ball? Because I remember at one point, Daddy was in charge. Yes. That's not happening.
No.
You're not bringing that to the table.
Right.
What's going on? I'm saying parenting. What's going on?
When you said that, the first thing I thought of is back in the day, like a long time ago when there were dinosaurs and the first computer came out.
Oh, yeah,
and,
I remember that.
You know, we were all burning, not me, but those illegal CDs on the LimeWire.
Yes.
So anyways, I remember my brother and I had like a specific time. In fact, we had a timer, the old school timer that my mother would set. The computer was in the living room off to the side at a desk. So it wasn't in private. We still, I think it was 20 or 30 minutes at a time. And when that timer went off, you were done. And I think about that now because the kids have the phones at the tables, eating at the restaurants. If you look around at a restaurant and you see a mother and child or mother, father, child, not only are the kids on their phones, but mom and dad are on their phones. I mean, look around anywhere you go. So to me, like you just said, the parents, it's a different world. The kids have their phones because they're allowed to have them.
Right.
What Jill was talking about, because she got to be older than all of us, because I remember dinosaurs. But think about it. When we used to sit at the dinner table, the TV was off. Or the TV was nowhere where you could be seen. You were actually at the dinner table, and we didn't. Your phone hung on your wall or sat on the table in the living room. It wasn't anything that was accessible to you. So, and you didn't dare get up and answer the phone if it rang while you were having dinner. So, the time was spent as family time.
It was sacred.
Quality
family
time. And face-to-face.
And face-to-face. So once the implementation of technology, I mean, and it's not just at the dinner time. Think about it.
Everywhere.
Keep your kid quiet. A 2-year-old. What do? You get, here, take this, take
hand
that.
him something that's, making noise, etc. Okay, so watch this. So we talked about the parents, and the parents on their phones too, or their laptops,
right,
and eating,
right,
and this, right, and now working from home is a big thing.
Right.
So you have some people doing that. So, and I mentioned before when we were talking about parenting, you're doing this, the kid is talking to you, your child is trying to get your attention and have a good conversation. You're not in the room.
Right.
For real.
Right.
So I can't help but mention last night, Jonathan Watley. Amazing.
Yes.
If you did not see last night's show, you have to look for that on YouTube. Right.
Right.
That show was amazing.
It was.
He had so much content, so much information to share to help families.
Right.
And what I like is I didn't feel like the parents were discarded or forgotten about.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Because so many times I feel like it's all about the children. I love children, happy, glad there's so many different, places out there that's standing in the gap and advocating for children. But I also feel like someone needs to be standing there and advocating for parents.
Yes.
That's true.
Yes, exactly.
And so I kind of felt like he was, bridging the gap from both sides.
Yeah, because if we don't help the parents, we're not helping the
family.
children. Exactly.
Ultimately, yeah. So I just wanted to mention that. So speaking of technology and working from home and all of the social interactions that parents are having, what can we do, Father, to change the dynamics at the table?
Just go back. I was just talking to somebody early in the whole conversation. We have moved away from some of these standards and things like that. There's some things that are foundationally right, just foundationally right, and that's like we say. When our time is, you got to cut time off. You got to cut the world off sometime. Like I say, the dinner time that I remember, everybody's eating at the same time, but there's no interruptions.
Yes.
You have your face to face. So let's get back to the dinner table and let's sit down and let's talk to let's talk to the children. Let's talk to the parents. Let's talk to the husband. Let's talk to the wife. Let's figure out and find out what's going on.
Exactly.
But we sit there and we don't communicate. And you were talking about work from home. The problem is now, that's one of the things that with our technology is we're always working. We don't take breaks. We don't unplug. So that takes us away. Go ahead.
You can finish.
Yeah, you're good.
I was saying, so you get a call at dinner. You up and you moving. So you just got to take the time out, cut it off and say, all right, this is the time we're going to do this. Nothing else is going to happen at this time. We're going to be a family. We're going to communicate. We're going to act like a family. We're going to work as a family. We're going to be a family.
That's right. Well, get ready because I want you to leave a charge for the men.
Okay.
Before we exit.
I got you.
So, Jill, talk about the work-life balance because I'm talking about working from home, but we got to have some balance here.
So I think for all of us, even when we talk about family dynamics, we're not just talking about people who have children, because there are people, I'm going to use Doc V as an example. There are people in your life that you care for. So they're not your children,
right,
but you also have to have that work-life balance. Some people take care of their mother, their sister, their brother. So you don't have to be a parent for this to be relevant to your situation.
Right.
And something I think it's important to be mindful of, especially, I can say this because I've experienced it, the work-life balance, trying to find that. There is no finality. There is no destination, because work-life balance is a journey. It is always. It is not anything that we're ever going to master.
Right.
And when I was doing some reading, I found a really good explanation of work-life balance. And it said you have work-life balance, or you're working towards work-life balance, when you feel like you have the necessary resources, the energy to function optimally in all different areas. So you have parenting, you have your personal life, you have your business life. So that was a good example. And when I say this, I have some statistics that are very interesting. So in the 1970s, approximately, and by the way, this information came from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. In 1970s, approximately 30% of families had both parents working. 30%, and that was in the 70s. In 2021, and that's a big gap, but I'm trying to show something. Approximately, what percentage, if we had to guess, of families had both parents working? If we were at 30% in the 70s.
That's that about 50 years ago. I'd say about 70 or 80%.
Yep. So anywhere from 65 to 70% of families, and that was a couple years ago too. That was the most updated statistic. So the dual household income is increasing. 26% of those parents actually have more than one job. 44% of those parents that were interviewed report having less than 10 to 20 hours per week in which they dedicate that time strictly to family, as we were just speaking on.
Right.
And you have to also keep in mind that we perform many roles, like I was just saying about Veronica. Not only are we parents, but we are caretakers. We are at times therapists, psychologists. Everybody's running to and fro. So sometimes the demands of one role can trickle into the demands of another, as well as the stress. So if I have a job where I am completely stressed out, I hate where I'm at, I'm not being treated well, and then I come home, what kind of situation do you think that we're going to have at the dinner table? Are we even going to be at the dinner table?
Probably not.
A lot of times that it spills over, and there's actually a theory that was called the spillover theory. Moving forward, like I said, the desired outcome is for us to feel like we have all of the necessary resources and energy to function both at our workplace, with our families, with our parents, with our children. One more thing I want to drop statistically. Childcare. So between $972 and $1,200 is the average. So this is all over the U.S. Cost per child per month for childcare. 1 out of every 3 families spends between 20 and 25% of their dual income on strictly childcare. 65% of 2-parent homes need childcare. They require childcare. So those are very interesting numbers that kind of puts it into perspective. 25% of your income is spent on childcare.
And that's why I made the decision I made. No, just kidding.
Right.
So thank you for joining us. This is Neutral Voices. We're talking about the family dynamics and some of the influencers. So let's talk about generational diversity.
And the thing, and Jill said that, most of our families are multi-generational now. It's not just, the mother or the father. Think about it. The Pew study in recent years, I think the last one was in 2020 or 2021, they say 1 in 5 households are multi-generational households. And you got to think about how that pans out and how that works out. And it also depends on which person is the head of the household. All right, think about it. If we can look in our neighborhoods, we can look in our families. There's a household where there's a grandmother, then there's a mother, then the mother has an adult child that now has children.
Yes.
Living in a household. Now, if it's the grandmother's house, I don't care. My grandmother, until she passed, when I was in her house, her rules were her rules.
Correct.
No matter how long I stayed there or what I did there, her rules were her rules. So
she was the authority.
She was the authority.
No matter who else was there.
No matter who else was there. My mother was there, and she trumped whatever my mother said if we were there. Mm-hmm. So think about it. If that's a grandmother's house, her house is she's gonna raise her grandchildren, or try to raise who's in her house like she raised her children. Mm-hmm. Now, you got to understand that there's been generational things that have changed in rearing children. Yeah. But again, there are some fundamental standards that shouldn't change, but we, as a community, as a society, as a world, decided that, those things are foggy or past, and we don't do that anymore. Mm-hmm. But if it's the mother's house, then again, she's gonna, try to take the grandmother out of the equation and still try to raise her children or grandchildren like that. Now, if it's the adult child's house, then they're gonna raise their children like. So it's just so many dynamics in having a multi-generational home. But as Jill was saying, we need those multi-generational homes because we need that income. The income is outrageous, so we all are partnering up to live together to, sustain and to supplement incomes. So our smarts is let's get together and live together.
Smart.
And we can save some of this money, or we can mitigate some of these expenses and everything. So we live together, you know. But then again, it's a good thing because you do have you can eliminate that childcare cost, and you have extra people raising your children. So it can be good or it can be bad. I've seen it work good. I've seen it work. I mean, I've seen it in all communities. So multi-generational households with 1 and 5, you can see a lot of families right now. We all know one family today that we can go to their house and they're multi-generational.
Now, so I want to keep it real for a second here.
Yes, ma'am.
Black people, a lot of times it's negative if you live with your parent, etc., and you have the multi-generational household. Why do you think that? And do you think with the way prices are and the way mortgage and rent and etc. is skyrocketing, do you think that that's going to change, or will we stay in that mindset? I got to have my own.
I think it's going to be on a case-by-case basis. I honestly think that it depends on the strength of the family and the connection of the family. But majority-wise, I think it's going to be the same or get worse because we're taught as a community, when you're Black at 18, you get out the house. That is our mentality. No matter if you're ready, no matter if you have any fundamentals, if you have a foundation, when you are 18, you're out the house and you're on your own.
That's common.
That's common.
Community, really?
That's common. That's common. There's a comic, and I was just watching the skit, Ali Sadiq, and he said when he was 10 years old, his mama sang the same song until he was 18. When you 18, you got to get up out this house. But that's how it is.
And I've heard that many times. I would say I wouldn't be that person.
Right.
So, and what's wrong with, I hear 18, but what's wrong with 25? That sounds like a decent number
or
for
45.
You to start moving out. But I'm saying even ladies, when they begin to date a man, if he's at home, they don't know whether he's there to care for the parent or not. It's just right away, it's a negative if he's staying with his parent.
Well,
period.
And again, yes, that it's a negative connotation, and that's just what you say. But you don't understand. We don't understand. And think about rent now. Rent is so high. It is not even if you're a parent. If you're staying with your brother, if you're staying with, like family, and you're making a family, and you're making a multi-generational, multi-family decision, that it's cheaper to stay this way. But we are geared, or we are conditioned to believe that we can't stay there. Look at any other culture. The Burmese culture is one of them. You look at them, and it's not just multi-generational, it's multi-communal families. They can have 4 and 5 families in a house working and living together, but we can't have people stay at our house a week without us having a problem. So it's just how we see things, and we have to change our mindset, and we got to change the way we think. And one of the things Mr. Watley said, and other communities say this, family is just not blood. Family is who's in close proximity and who you associate with. And you can see these in other communities. Why do we have a problem in our community being that tight-knit family, or letting your kids stay to 25, letting your kids stay till they get established? But no, they get 18, you got to go.
What do you think the answer is to that? Because honestly, a lot of times when we have conversations, we're always real in our conversations because there are cultural differences. And I didn't, that's not what I grew up like thinking, not even for any people, for any culture. I mean, I remember my parents never even, they wanted me to know exactly where I was going and what I was doing. And me being, young, 18, 19, 20, I wanted to go out on my own. I wanted to, but I probably couldn't. Yeah, I wanted to. I just wanted to be done, Plus, the small town there was just nothing. I thought it would be cool to move where there was like a Walmart or, or something. So, but my parents also, I moved to Vegas for a while, and I moved back from a bad relationship, and I was 23. Guess where I went? My parents, because they said, you come here, you stay till you find a place. So that's where I went until I found a place. And I never felt inept or anything like that. And I feel like Macy will be 19. So we have an arrangement. If you do X, Y, Z, you can stay here if you're progressing. Because I don't want her to ever be in the position that I am still in my 40s.
Right.
I don't want her to be in that. So why do you think that is? Why do you think the Black community feels like that?
Well, and let's not just speak for the whole Black community. So because you get some kickback on that.
Yeah.
So that's too broad. But a lot of Black people feel like that. They believe that. But a lot of it has to do with dysfunction.
Okay.
So
Yes.
when you grow up and it's a dysfunctional household, what is a dysfunctional household? So let me just put it out here so we can be on the same page.
Yeah.
Peace and harmony. That's what people want in a family. We already know.
Right.
We've seen Leave It to Beaver, some of those
Yeah.
other movies, right? Everybody
the-
happy, everything's good. It's not always like that. The truth is, quarrels, grudges, estrangements, all of these different things are going to happen following, and it doesn't matter the age, right?
Yeah.
So
Right.
whether it's the parent and the child or the siblings and the siblings,
Yes.
and you come from this, or you got the uncle in the house who's on
Right.
drugs, etc., right? So some kind of way, somebody may be an alcoholic, drug user,
Drug addict,
abuser, etc. So we have all these things. And it changes the dynamic of that household, that family, that dysfunction. So when you grow up in that, you have a different mindset. And that mindset is almost what you said. I can't wait to turn 18 because I got to get out of here.
Yeah.
Right, right.
So that's all you know.
Yeah.
I got to get out of here. I don't care. Or you feel like your parent is abusing you. And there are parents that
True.
abuse their child, and not necessarily physically.
Right.
Physically correct.
But whether you can't even sit down. You got to always be doing something. Or I'm leaving you to babysit the kid.
Right.
Here you are, 13,
Yeah.
but
Right.
you taking care of 4 kids.
So you're like, it'd be easier to be out on my
Exactly.
On my
And
own.
so sometimes the environment will push us out before the time.
not
Right.
necessarily the parents pushing you out,
Exactly.
but
That
the actual-
environment,
yeah.
the things that they that they created because it was the parents that created it or that allowed it.
Right.
And so I'm saying so with that, the dysfunctional family, what can we do before we run out of time? What things do we need to change so that we don't have that? So that we can move through and we can build stronger families. What are the things that we need to do?
First of all, we got to be open and honest and actually assess our situations. Too many times, all families, black, white, Hispanic, whatever, there's issues that we just let lie. Or we see them and we walk around them, the elephants in the rooms and the things we sweep under, because we don't want people to know outside what's going on inside.
Right.
So, first of all, we got to peel back some of the things and we got to see what it is and then fix it. Our community as a whole, and we say as a family as a whole, too many times we place blames on other things in other places so we don't have to look at the actual root of the problem. And 9 times out of 10, the root of the problem starts where?
Yeah.
With me. I'm just saying, I'm not saying I'm the cause, but the problem starts with me. So if I figure out in me what's the problem or how to fix it, and then it can spread that way. I mean, all of us need to look at me first.
Okay.
And then once we look at the me and we figure out how to fix me, everything else we can begin to fix other things. But if I'm messed up,
I got it. I'm down with the Michael Jackson Man in the Mirror. I'm definitely down with that. But let's be truthful. Sometimes you go to a family function. You're not talking to these particular people,
Right.
but you're over here with these people, and it may be that way every time.
right.
What is the problem and what is the reason that we do not have relationships with our other family members? There's something, and you said start with you, but sometimes it's these deep, dark, dirty secrets
That's what I said.
in
That's
the family.
the things that we put under the carpet, the things that we don't address. Like, and I made this funny, and we were talking about movies about family, and I said Soul Food. We all had that Uncle Pete, that one uncle or that one aunt.
Or they're crazy.
Yeah, that didn't have it together. Nobody addressed what his situation or her situation was. That's just the way they are.
Yeah.
That's how they always been. Instead of getting them the help or finding the help, we just and that's like a lot of things. And think about it. And not only in black families, as in families, there's been things like molestation and things like that we don't talk about that drove people. And that's why I say you got to look at the me and you got to figure it out. And I don't mean the individual me, but if you look at your whole me surroundings, you look at everything that affected you and how you do it. But we don't talk about these things, and that's one of the things we are too afraid afraid to be open, honest, and transparent, even with our family. So we don't talk about these things. You know,
fear and shame.
Fear and shame.
Yes.
And the biggest fear is that it's going to get out in the public, and then I'm going to have a public shame. So no, I'm not even going to talk about it in my house because I don't want it to get out and there's a public shame.
So you're just going to pretend like it's not, doesn't exist.
And I'm saying that's all families. That's not just black families. So until we can, you know, take those layers off and be open, honest, and transparent, then we can't. That's why we don't communicate with other people, like you say. And sometimes it's the most minute or simplest thing,
right?
But we don't talk about it, so we don't deal with it. And that way, it just grows, it grows, it grows. And that chasm or that gap or that divide between the family members, it just continues to grow.
Okay, and you talked about divide real quick because I want to make sure we kind of talk a little bit about the different family dynamics because things have changed.
Yes.
Right.
So, okay, single family, we get it. 22 million children are in a single family house.
Yes.
And watch this, they're women.
Right.
Okay.
The majority are.
Yeah, we don't want to talk about that. We've been there, we've done that. That's for another discussion.
Right.
Blended families.
Yes.
So, and then same sex
Yes.
Yes.
families. What do you, same sex
So-
families? They're not necessarily
And not
married,
only
but
not
same
only that,
sex.
not only that, you know, with adoptions and everything.
I was going to say the
Yeah.
fostering,
Yes.
adoption, different types of family. Let's talk about how what can we do to make sure everybody in the family feels like family? Everybody feel wanted. And the reason I mention this is because last night my heart was broken when he told the story about his grandchild. And he said that there were people at the table and that the child, and I'm just, you know,
Right.
making a long story short, that child ended up getting up from the table where there were people
Right.
and committing suicide.
Right.
Yeah.
A lot of people look past that child.
What do we need to do today to make everybody in the household feel loved, wanted, and heard?
So, do you want me to go to the family structure?
I do.
Yeah, you want to go?
If we can address this real quick because we're running out of time.
I had that within the family structure as far as what we can do. I went to a funeral last weekend. It was my 95-year-old great aunt, and there were people there that I had no idea who they were. My mom knew who they were. My dad knew who they were, but I had no idea. So I said something to my mother because I kind of felt like, you know, it's your fault that I don't know who these people are. I mean, I honestly
And
felt
that's
like
the
that
truth. Right.
because my daughter knows my family and our family because of me saying, hey, this is so-and-so.
Right.
So a lot of it, I think, is, you know, educating each other. I mean, not all family is blood, like you said.
Right.
And I think we can be very cliquish, just like in school, just like at work, as adults, as coworkers.
Right.
And really just remembering that family are people.
Right.
That's right.
So I shouldn't treat, you know, Clarence is my family, not by blood. You are my family. The way that I treat both of you is the way that I treat.
You treat us like family because you talk about us behind our back, and that's what family does.
100%. That is exactly what I was going to say.
So I was trying to get to that part, but we're running out of time, so we're not going to be able to talk about the
you want to talk about how to make everybody included. That's what your question
I
was.
want everybody to feel like they are seen, they are heard
in
the house.
The first
because
thing,
that's not always the case.
The first thing
in
is
the family.
You have to learn how to love. We have to learn how to truly love one another. That is the first thing. We got to unconditionally.
Yes.
We got to learn how to love. And I'm going to say this, and I say this all the time, and I wear this name with pride. We at Smiths, we recognize everybody. We sit down and talk to everybody. We wear that like a badge of honor, no playing. And we always tell each other we love them. We always communicate. We always check on each other. Somebody is always connected to somebody. The problem is we don't foster those connections anymore. You know, like even our kids in our house.
Everybody
in the house. We not fostering those connections. We have kids in our homes that we don't even talk to or have conversations with. We let them do what they want to do. We do what we want to do. We have no connection. We have no conversation. We have no anything. So it starts with love. And if I love you, I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to look out for you. I'm going to care for you. I'm gonna make sure you're all right. I'm gonna do these things for you. But we don't even have love in our immediate family anymore.
That's right.
So
Yes.
I think
And
getting
love,
back to that.
Yeah, and when you say love, and if we look at all the things that love encompasses, if you love somebody, you want to spend time with them.
Yes.
You want to talk to them, right?
Right.
And so I think you hit it right on the head. And so our time is actually almost up. And I did want to talk about something that was interesting real quick. I'll say this, relatives. And we were talking about relatives. And then I said, think of some movies, right? And that's where you talked about soul food,
yeah.
etc. So family reunion. Do you guys have family reunions?
Absolutely, every year.
I'm saying every year.
Yes.
You have
Yes.
every year.
Yes, every year.
And so I can't say that we have a family reunion every year, but more people need to have family reunions. I would love to have a family reunion every year, but that is the time for the family to get together.
Right.
And a lot of times, people don't realize how many relatives they have
Right.
until they get to the family reunion.
Exactly.
Right.
So let me share this real quick because I thought this was interesting. So the number of relatives that an individual has is expected to decrease by more than 35% in the near future. Look at this. Let me skip down because I don't want us to run out of time. In 1950, a 65-year-old woman had an average of 41 living relatives. By 2095, I won't be here. This is one of the reasons we ain't going to have that many relatives. A woman of the same age will have an average of only 25 living relatives.
Because not many people are having children as the rate that they used to.
Exactly.
That, or are they dying early, or what? So we didn't have time to get into that, to dig into it, but I just thought that was something to think about. Yeah. Your relatives are disappearing, which means the ones you have today, you need to love today.
Love and
you
cherish.
need to reach out.
Because we replace those
them.
reunions with funerals, and that's when we see our family.
Absolutely. So we need to do that. We need to do better. And one of the other things I'll leave you with as we get ready to exit too is there's help for families that are separated, divided. Some people are divided on purpose. You have made up your mind that you're not going to talk to that person, and that's not healthy. It's not healthy for that individual, but more so it's not healthy for you.
Exactly.
And so I'll leave you with this. So as I exit, by prioritizing these things, so it's a little list. I'm acting like my pastor as I come to a close for the 6th time. No. By prioritizing communication, we talked about that.
Yes.
We got to bring this family back together. Prioritizing communication, not on your phone, face-to-face communication, quality time, adaptability, forgiveness. There's some people, and that's why I said you're holding a grudge and you need to let it go because you forgot what it was all about. Let it go. Unconditional love, we talked about. Patience, husband, wives, being patient, not just with each other, but even with your children. You need to be patient instead of what, boy? Right? Let them ask the questions.
Right.
That's how they learn. And we need to be resilient. And if we do this, we can build, I love this, our program last night. I'm sorry. Hi, Jonathan. I hate I missed it. We can build a stronger family.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that right?
That's it.
Was that the name of his
That's it.
organization?
Yep.
We can build a stronger family together. This is Neutral Voices. Thank you for hanging with us. See you next time. As we always say,
We want to remind you to protect your mind always.
Always protect your mind.
thank you. A podcast
waiting for the-
by Neutral Voices
Down your opinions
Media.
important, so you gotta speak out. Don't let your chance to be heard pass by. Spell out, let me hear you loud, proud. Shout it out real loud. Everybody wake up. Shout it out real loud. Everybody wake up. Wake up. No time for sleeping on the issues. This is Neutral Voices. We gon' deal with the issues.
Where the people